Hey, it's Lynn from Paper Hoarders Anonymous, and I'm here with a collage. A few friends and I have challenged ourselves to come up with a patriotic collage, and so this is my version. I have chipboard that I'm going to use as my substrate or my base, and I'm going to work with this. Now I've gone ahead and traced a star onto a piece of mixed media paper, and this is going to be the pattern that I follow when filling in with these, which are scraps of blue and red paper from different magazines, as you can see. Now collage starts with a background, and for that I'm going to use strips of my local newspaper. What strips I choose really does not matter, as you're going to see in the end, but what I do is I pick things out like this paper that talks about D-Day, and I might see some other things, but really what I'm doing is sort of getting my mind set as to which direction I'm going to go with my design, and this is just something that sort of gets your engines revving. Now I think I'm ready to go. I've got my chipboard in place. I'm using some wax paper underneath, and I'm using Deco Art Matte Medium Finish. This is going to hold down my papers, and I'm going to use a bit of it. I'm also using this little chippy brush just to slap that gel medium all over the place. And strip by strip, I am going to randomly place these newspaper pieces all over this chipboard, covering it from corner to corner, end to end. Once I get the last few strips on, it's time to dry. And now that it's relatively dry to the touch, I'm going to go and trim off these excess edges of newspaper and clean up my board. And I'm going to grab a couple strips of wax paper, one to place under my chipboard and a second one to actually fold in half and use as a paint palette for the next step. Now there are all different ways to do the next step. I am going to actually take a piece of wax paper. I'm going to crumple it up. I'll come back to that in a second. I'm gonna use some white paint. It's actually a pearlized pearl finish coat. I'm gonna use that. The next one that I'm going to use is actually a Tuscan red, and then I'm also using a navy blue. Everybody does this step very differently. You could use a brush, you could use sponges, you could use rags. I really don't recommend any one particular style. You do you, and enjoy the process. I'm by no means done, but I am going to set this aside, let it dry, and go on to my next step in the meantime. So that next step is going to be to collage my star, and with that I am going to be using the red and blue strips of paper that I've got from different magazines, and I'm going to be collaging / gluing these strips directly onto the star. One thing to note is that I've used a dark marker, and that's because I can see that on the back. So when I get done gluing the front, I'm still going to be able to see my lines and cut my star out without any issues. I'm going to be using the exact same matte gel medium that I used on my chipboard to glue these strips to my star, and I'm not going to give too much thought to where I'm placing them, and I'm going to make sure that I use plenty of glue so that I don't get any lifts or anything like that on the edges of the paper. But otherwise it's relaxing, a little messy, but a lot of fun. Let this dry, and with it dry to the touch, I am pretty much ready to cut this star out. And just like that, we have a really adorable, beautiful blue and red and even slightly white star for our collage, and I'm really pleased with this. Now this is where the fun comes in, because I have the star, I have my background, and while I like it, I feel like I can change up this background some more. Sometimes more can be less, sometimes less can be more. But in this case, I think I'm going to just play around with the background a little bit more. I'm going to grab some more red, some blue, and see where it goes. So after darkening the edges and lightening the center, I'm actually liking it a lot better. I think there's more contrast, and that works for me. I think the star was looking a little flat, so I'm going to take and pen in these stitch marks all the way around and see what comes of it. I think it's going to work. And I am really happy with the results. I have little white stitches all around my star, and I think it's just what it needed. Against my backdrop. Yep. I'm liking this. So far, so good. So who knew that Stars and Stripes Forever had lyrics? But they do. And I chose to write the lyrics of the refrain around the perimeter of my star, making my collage visually appealing to me, but also including words that are deep in meaning and just special. And there's a lot to this great country that we call home. And for those who have fought and died for freedom, I am eternally grateful.